morning, Kate.
Good morning, Rory. How are you?
Well, thank you.
That's good. What lesson have you got for me to look at today?
Well, as you'll recall, we were doing a unit on recounts.
Yep, in English. That's great.
So we've done our field trip to Byron Bay. The kids have taken photographs and made notes and everything, and now we're at the drafting stage of their recount.
Okay, awesome. So they're doing their recount on the trip to Byron Bay. Is that correct? Okay, great. So you've got the sample lesson plan for us to look at. Okay, great. All right, so I can see some areas that we can make adjustments for these 4 students. So we'll start by looking at the English as an additional language or dialect annotated content descriptor document. So I'll show you that now. Okay, Rory, so that document can be found online. So if you go to the ACARA website, then you go to Curriculum Student Diversity, and then it's under EALD Teacher Resources. So there's separate documents for English, maths, science and history. So today we'll look at the English document.
Okay.
So what you start with is you find the content descriptors that you'll be using in your lesson. So I see you've got 2 content descriptors here, and you go down and you find the one that matches, and it's got 2 columns. So the first column it has is called language considerations, and this tells you about the problems and challenges that the EALD students in your class will face with this particular content descriptor. So it just gives you a good insight into what they'll be having particular trouble with so that you can be aware of it. And the second column is the teaching strategies column. So that column tells you exact strategies that you can use to help them with these issues.
Okay, so I've got this ACARA descriptor here. Understand how texts vary in purpose, structure and topic, as well as the degree of formality. So how would I use this document to enhance my own lesson here?
Yeah, sure. So if we have a look at the document here and we find the correct one, so we've got the correct content descriptor here, and we go to the teaching strategies column. So you'll notice that it suggests that you provide models of all types of text. So providing a model text is a really great way to make adjustments for the EALD learners.
Okay.
So what I've got here as an example for you is an annotated text example of a recount. So we've pointed out all the main features. We've got orientation, a record of significant events, and the reorientation and conclusion. So that's great for the students to see an example and for it to have all the key features pointed out. We've also noted on here nouns and noun groups, past tense, personal pronouns, adverbs, verbs and verb groups, proper nouns, types of sentences as well, prepositions, adjectives and conjunctions. So this is a great way for the EALD students to be able to refer to this and to use it as an example for their own writing.
So would this be something that I would include for all students in the class or just my EALD students?
It could be made available to all students, but it would be of particular help to the EALD students.
Okay, so for my second ACARA content descriptor in here, I've got plan, draft and publish imaginative, informative and persuasive print and multimodal texts, choosing text structures, language features, images and sound appropriate to purpose and audience. So what would be an appropriate
adjustment that we can make. Yeah, sure. So we can use the same document that we did before, and again we just find the same content descriptor and match it to here and go to the teaching strategies column.
Okay.
So you'll notice in here that they mention providing text structure frameworks, and again they mention to use model text, which we showed before. Some examples of frameworks you can use is a visual timeline. So you mentioned your students took photos on the field trip?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so a great activity for them to do would be to put them in sequential order, and then they can use this to refer to when writing it. So they've got a visual aid as they go through and begin their drafting. Another great framework to use is a writing frame. So actually, have a box for orientation, what should be included, and about the rough size that you want the orientation to be. So students can see that this should be their main part, the record of significant events, and what should go in there. We've also mentioned here about temporal linking words, and then finally the reorientation and conclusion section.
Okay. You mentioned language features. I feel like that's something that my EALD students would really struggle with, so how would you counter that?
Yeah, so some extra ideas for that. So what you could do is provide a word wall for the students. So this is an example, and it's actually got words they can use to help them describe a place, so they can look through those words. They might even help you to develop this word wall after the field trip. Words to describe travelling, words to describe feelings, the size of something, the sound of something. And then if you do it together as a class, you can even have it up on the wall then.
Okay.
And then students can go back and look at it and use it for their writing. Another document that you could use is a language features poster. So this has got sort of key language features. We've got like the top level structure on here, temporal links, conjunctions. So it's sort of a good thing to have available to the students as a visual aid that links together, you know, the model text, the writing frame, everything that we've sort of spoke of so far. And then if it's up where they can see it easily, they can use it throughout their drafting stage.
So that document's going to be an excellent teaching resource for when I'm planning my lessons, but is there anything else that you would recommend that I take on board when planning future units?
Yeah, so just the things that we've spoken about before that I know you already do a great job of. So whenever you start a new unit, making sure that you really do build the field knowledge for these students, that's a really important step. And wherever you can, make links to their own cultural backgrounds, allow them to have input of their cultural experiences in the class. And wherever you can, just continued support, scaffolding, and adjustments to make their learning easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's okay, you're doing a great job, Rory. Hope the lesson goes well.
Thanks, Caitlin. See you next week.
Thank you. See you next week.